Okay.
Like we have some time.
How's it going, Donnie?
I can handle that.
Okay, it's 6:30, so I'm going to call a meeting of the Park Committee to order. This is Wednesday, August 9th, 2017, 6:30 p.m. With us this evening, we have Alderman John Vanderleest, Alderman Chris Weary, and myself, Alderman David Nennig, and Alderman Andy Nicholson asked to be excused. So with that, we'll go to the next item, which is approval of minutes of the last meeting from July 12th, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Vanderleest, seconded by Alderman Weary to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Adoption of the agenda, are there any additions or corrections? No, then we'll take a motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vanderleest to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number one is, maybe I should point out before we start here that this committee, Park Committee, makes recommendations to the City Council, and the City Council next Tuesday has final say on anything that we do here. That pertains to any of the city committees, the Park Committee as well as the Improvement Services Committee right after. So the council meeting next Tuesday is down the hall in the City Council chamber at 7 p.m. Okay, number one is consideration with possible action on the tree removal fee for 340 North Broadway. Donnie?
Okay, a motion was made at the June 14th, 2017 INS Committee to refer the tree removal fee for 340 North Broadway to the Park Committee and have the City Forester at the Park Committee to verify the charges for the tree removal. Our City Forester, Brian, is here to go through that with you. I hand you a copy. You each have a copy of that on the front and the charges on the back to refer to. Brian?
Well, thanks for being here to explain it.
Oh, not a problem, my pleasure. The report, kind of keeps it in a nutshell because it's kind of a confusing, laborious type process, but I did supply a short report, the spreadsheet, worksheet on how the calculations are done on there. Quite simply, it's a acceptable practice through the Council of Tree, Landscape, and Appraisers to follow the 9th edition. It's recognized through the International Society of Arboriculture. Certified arborists, consulting arborists use the same process. It's spelled out in our tree removal policy under sections 9 and sections 10 to determine values for trees, whether it's caused by damage or as a request as a non-supported removal that we would normally take care of with no charge or anything. So we were requested to give an appraisal for these 3 trees that were located on North Broadway out in front of the Titletown area there. And the appraisal was done. The sheet is for all 3 trees. They're all the same species, same size, same conditions. So the total that we came to was $550 per tree, total of $1,650. There were no removal costs or replacement costs that needed to be built into the appraisal as contractor was doing the removal, and there was no replacement. And if you're not familiar with the area, these are the trees. They're honey locust trees along Broadway, along North Broadway, in those concrete planter boxes, completely surrounded by concrete.
I think when Mr. Zimmer brought this up at the council meeting, one of his questions was, what did we pay for those trees? What did it cost us when we put them in originally? Do we know?
I do not have any records of that.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions? Any, Alderperson Dorff?
I thought I recalled Mr. Zimmer Alder Zimmer having a question about the lighting or something, that there were lights in the trees, and how much did that cost? I just want to make sure everything gets covered.
Okay.
There was conduit that was run up and fastened to the trunk of the tree with uplighting, but that is something with the DPW and electricians that doesn't take place in the appraisal part of the tree value of it.
Yeah. Do you have any information on that, Steve?
A lot of the conduit and lighting that's associated with those trees is in severe disrepair. It's been damaged because, as Brian indicated, the conduit and lighting package are physically affixed to the trees, and as the trees have grown over time, that's moved the conduit, stretched the wire, broken a lot of the wiring, and damaged the fixtures. So a lot of that stuff is in disrepair. I believe this, the conduit in these 3 pits were among those that have suffered damage. And with the group that requested the trees to be removed, we're working cooperatively with that group to ensure that a suitable planting plan that could be approved by Parks Department for terrace locations will go in for the future restoration in those areas, and we will work with that group also relative to any needs for lighting, uplighting, or maintenance of that conduit.
Okay. You think that answers the question?
I think, yes, I think it'll be helpful too if it comes up.
Okay, well, we'll reflect that in the minutes, that there's some damaged conduit, and maybe we should put the whole estimate in the packet so that all the council members can see how it was determined.
Well, the only thing that the park department was involved in was just taking down the trees. That was the only piece we had to this. So we don't have the other costs for lighting or anything like that, because that wouldn't be us. All we did is the trees, and we had a they had a private contractor take them down. The park forestry crew did not take those trees down.
One quick question. On those trees, was the main idea of taking them down, they didn't care for the trees, or what was the story? As far as beautification, they didn't like it, or were they in bad condition?
I would have Steve talk to that.
From the time, I believe it was in 2012, that on Broadway Incorporated, the business improvement district in the area, wanted to fund the improvement of the planter boxes, the concrete walls around each of the tree locations. At that time, the intent that OBI expressed to us was they wanted to fill those boxes in and then plant annuals or perennials to help dress up around the trees. For a period of about a year, we tried working with them, and we had told them before they came to us with the proposal for the concrete walls that you can't fill in around the trees because the act of filling that in will actually kill the tree. Back at the time prior to their request, we suggested to them that they coordinate with Parks Department and request that all of the trees be removed, the boxes filled in, and then they pay for new trees to go in at the higher elevation so that they could plant their own. That was cost prohibitive for OBI, and they instead elected just to put the walls up, and they were going to work on planting some perennials in the corner. They worked with Parks Department on suitable species that would work in that type of an arrangement. However, if you go and look over there, the number of ornamental grasses and things like that that they were able to plant without damaging the tree, it doesn't fill in and give the look that OBI was hoping for. And these large concrete walls around have sort of become trash collectors, especially for events like the farmers market on Broadway that's going on tonight. I have had some discussions with the executive director for OBI, and they are investigating whether or not they want to simply remove all of these walls that were erected just a few years ago. So as we get up to the area in front of 340, the owners of the adjacent property, again, wanted to do something that looked better than having this empty wall that served as a trash collector around the 3 trees. And I've gone through this with you at INS multiple times. We told them you can't fill in around the tree, you'll kill and damage the tree, and then they went through the exercise to find out if irreparable damage happened to the tree, what would be the damage. Brian just gave you, we went to Forestry, they calculated what the damage was, they came in, paid the damage, had the trees removed. They are now filling those planters in, and they're going to work with the city on a suitable planting plan to dress up that area and make the planters more what the vision was when they were first proposed.
So the trees are basically being eliminated then for those 3 sites that they...
Just in those 3 locations.
Okay. That's my
So they
question.
were given this estimate before the trees were taken down, so they
Correct.
knew what the
Yeah.
arrangement was. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I guess we'll have a motion to receive and place on file this request.
Motion to receive and place in file.
Okay, motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vandelis to receive and place on file this issue. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, consideration with possible action on hiring Grafe to complete the engineering bid documents for Colburn Pool renovation.
Okay,
Any
at the
discussion?
at the last city council meeting, staff was directed to hire an engineering consultant to complete the engineering bid documents to proceed with concept 4 for the renovation of Colburn Pool. City hired Grafe for $275,000 to complete the engineering bid documents for the last pool design. Staff contacted Grafe again, and we requested a price to complete the engineering documents for the new pool design. Grafe quoted $183,000. At this point, staff only requested a cost from Grafe, as they are already very familiar with our facility. In addition, some of the engineering has already been completed and will carry over into the new pool design, so therefore we probably have a little bit of a cost savings if we go this route. We can go out for additional bids if this committee decides to do that, but Grafe has a great understanding of the project and what engineering needs are and what needs to be done to complete the bid documents. Park staff has no concerns with hiring Grafe. Grafe did quote an additional $95,000 for Phase 2 engineering for the construction, supervision, and administration. Staff would recommend that the Park Committee hold on hiring on Phase 2 and authorize staff to proceed with hiring Grafe for Phase 2 engineering after the bids are awarded. If the engineering consultant is hired now, the project would be bid out this winter for spring 2018 construction. Construction would last throughout the summer and fall of 2018, and the pool would open in 2019. Staff did want to mention, like at the last council meeting, 12 council members voted to fund the remaining shortage for the project. Keep in mind that if a consultant is hired and the pool's not funded, if it comes in over money and this council decides we're not funding this pool again, then the money spent on this engineering would be lost. You can decide to wait and hire the consultant until after all the funding is in place, but if you do that, you delay the construction for an entire year. Bonding typically happens in April and May. By the time a consultant is hired and the engineering is completed, you will miss the whole entire 2018 construction schedule.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
Move to approve as recommended.
Okay. John?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vanderleest to approve the recommendation to hire Grafe to complete the engineering study on that schedule and those cost estimates.
For 183, and then the second part of that motion needs to be that we could hire Grafe after the bid is awarded for the second phase.
Okay. Is that good? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are moving forward on Colburn Pool. Number 3, consideration with possible action on approving a license agreement with Fox River Hospitality to place irrigation on city property along the Fox River Trail. In our packets, we did have a map.
Yes, if you
of
refer
where
to this map right here.
Is there anything else to report on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so a few years ago, Hampton Inn placed irrigation lines on city property adjacent to the existing Fox River Trail. The purpose of the irrigation was to keep the grass in good order, obviously, and make it look nice. The irrigation was originally installed in the park without city approval. The city is now in the process of replacing that section of the Fox River Trail. This fall, the trail will be straightened and widened, and it will go from 6 feet to 10 feet. The irrigation lines installed a few years ago will be damaged by the construction of this trail. The owner, who is responsible to repair and damage to the irrigation, this agreement will formalize the approval by the city to allow the irrigation lines in the park. The owner of Hampton Inn is responsible for any future repairs to the irrigation lines and has to pay the water bills. Staff is in support of this request.
Okay. Any questions? It seems pretty routine to me, basically continuing the arrangement we've had with them
Well,
Accept.
we would put it together, a lease agreement, and then it would be contingent upon all proper permits and insurances being obtained, and the Fox River Hospitality is responsible for all costs with the irrigation, including installation, ongoing maintenance, and the water bills.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman
Second.
Vanderleest, second by Alderman Weary to approve the recommendation as stated. Oh, was there someone here that wanted to speak on it? No?
I guess not.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on then. Next item is number 4, consideration of possible action on a request by the Green Bay Public Arts Commission to install rotating art sculptures at Wildcat Place and at the northwest corner of Dousman and Fisk, adjacent to the West Side Trail. I think we have a map.
We have
again
2
that-
maps here, both of
Right.
those requests.
that shows
That
those
you can refer
locations.
to.
Alderman Scannell is in the back. Do you have anything to add on behalf of the Public Arts
I
Commission?
believe Director Bernier was going to handle the ball on this.
No, that's good.
Isn't that what we're on?
No.
Well, that's right.
Oh.
What are we on?
We're on
The-
the.
Tonight,
Rotating arts
Oh.
track.
that way further away.
Oh, the pan, yeah.
Yes, but if I may, Chairman, I don't know.
Okay,
if you-
Sullivan?
Yes, thank you so much. I don't know if any of you've met our new arts coordinator, Laura Schley, so she's been working with us for a little over a month. So-
Okay, do you want to
Yeah,
come
no.
forward and explain the request?
Oh, I guess. She's a little
Okay.
nervous because this is
Yeah, that's
her
okay. Donnie
first
can
committee
explain.
Okay,
Donnie
meeting.
can
are you
explain.
promised
They
They
won't bite.
Well,
Because
not
I'm
hard.
watching.
Scary.
When did you start?
About a month ago.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So, yes, I'm seeking approval from you guys to beautify the city. We have 2 locations there on those maps there. Basically, we want to put cement pads in there and then get some art rolling in.
Mhm.
I don't know what else you need from me.
Yeah, I know there are sites at various locations around the city, and these 2 are on properties that are under the control of Park and Rec. Right? Any questions?
Does Donnie have anything?
Yeah, well, I think you know where the locations are to begin with. The Wildcat Place, is everybody familiar where that is on the corner of 12th and Shawano Avenue? And then the second location is, what's the second location? On the West Side Trail, by Fifth Street and Dousman Street, on that corner. You can see there by the map. The commission will fund the installation of the 5x5 concrete slabs to accommodate the art sculpture. The group would be switching these art pieces out ever so often. They're not, they're not one that would stay there forever and ever. Staff is, all costs would be the responsibility of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission. We're in favor of this request.
Okay. Anything else to add, Alderman
I'd
Scanlon?
just say that, we did spend a lot of time at picking out spots, and we want some really prominent spots, and these are really some really good spots for rotating. And it would be every year that they'd be rotating out at the latest. So we're really hoping to, we're hoping to get at least maybe 8 spots done this year.
Okay,
So,
well, very good. Any questions?
Looks good.
Motion
Contingent
to
upon all
approve the
costs for
request.
installation and maintenance of the footings and sculptures are the responsibility of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission.
Okay. We have a motion by Alderman
Second.
Randall, seconded by Alderman Weary to approve the request as stated. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item, number 5, is consideration of possible action on the findings of the 9/11 Sculpture Subcommittee to deaccession the 9/11 sculpture. Do we have people here who want to speak on that?
Director Bernier,
Okay.
Director Bernier.
he drew the short straw.
Pardon?
He drew the short straw.
Oh, okay. Okay, Steve, do you want to tell us what it's all about?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, as you're likely aware, the 9/11 memorial is owned and maintained by the city of that's owned and maintained by the city of Green Bay has fallen into disrepair to the extent that many consider the current condition disrespectful to the memories of those who the memorial is intended to commemorate. City of Green Bay Public Arts Commission, Green Bay Fire Department, Green Bay Police Department, and Department of Public Works have been meeting over the last several weeks to discuss plans for that monument. The unanimous recommendation of this group is to propose deaccession of the monument, temporary relocation of the beam salvaged from the wreckage of the World Trade Center, and a development of a permanent monument to be part of the future police and fire administration complex. We've included some relevant facts relevant to the monument. The World Trade Center 9/11 Penn T Memorials of Calumet County originally donated and installed the monument. This organization has since disbanded and has only 2 surviving members, both of which are private citizens who procured the section of structural steel from the original World Trade Center. This memorial was originally offered to the city of Madison, which rejected the monument before it found its home here in Green Bay. The monument was originally dedicated on June 1st in 2005. The inscription on the base of the monument contains significant errors, especially those related to the flight numbers. The granite used to construct this sculpture was an interior grade granite that was never intended to be placed in an outdoor environment. As a result, there's cracking, premature wear, and degradation of the engraving due to exterior exposure. Green Bay Area Firefighters Local 141 adopted the monument and were going to fundraise for maintenance of the monument. However, that project never did come to fruition. City of Green Bay is currently in control of the monument after it was turned over to them. This sits on land that's maintained under the jurisdiction of Parks Department, which is why we're before you tonight. It's interesting to note and very important to remember that the only part of the monument that has any kind of tie directly back to the World Trade Center is the steel beam. I know there's some rumors out there that there are other things, there's artifacts that were part of, I've heard all kinds of crazy stories, and our records indicate none of that is true. We received the beam, the rest of the sculpture was built specific to this monument. The current plan is to ceremoniously remove the World Trade Center beam and temporarily relocate it. It will be on a rotating display, 6 months on display at the Green Bay Police Department and 6 months on display at the Green Bay Fire Department administrative offices. Upon deaccession of the memorial, staff will then remove the remaining pieces of the existing monument structure and place it in storage until such time that a decision can be made regarding the ultimate disposition of the granite slabs and the steel making up the 2 towers. We haven't decided what's going to happen with the concrete base that holds all of this. It's a rather substantial base and it does have uplighting available. So we will be talking with Green Bay Public Arts Commission to see if there potentially could be another home for one of the rotating art sculptures, or if it doesn't meet their needs, if it's the wrong size, wrong shape, wrong location, not properly configured for their use, then ultimately the remainder of the base will also then be removed and disposed of.
Okay, are there any questions? It seems to me that...
Again, speaking with police and fire have been involved with the planning for the memorial, whether to repair it or to do something else with it. And both the police department and the fire department, who, as we all know, police and fire are 2 of the primary organizations. We often forget about the City of New York Port Authority, which is their public works department. But police and fire are most often associated with 9/11 type tributes. And both police and fire department are in full support of this. As a matter of fact, when we started talking about a permanent display that could be part of the new police and fire headquarters, we're looking at setting up an interactive display so to have a touch screen and we can get a lot more information than just the monument, bring some of the personal stories and make it a more fitting tribute to remember those who perished in the 9/11 attacks. So that's the long-term plan. But the short-term plan, again, we're going to salvage the beam. There will be a ceremony, again, assuming that the deaccession plan is approved by the committee and by council. But it'll all be done in conjunction with police and fire, be done in a very respectful manner, and then the beam itself, which we're seeing degradation of the beam because that beam was never intended to be displayed in an outdoor setting. It will be brought into the police department or the fire department, depending on who's got the rotation at the time. An interim memorial will be established until such time that we can fundraise for and create the permanent.
Do you think it's possible to coordinate that ceremony with 9/11?
That's actually the plan right now. As a matter of fact, what we are looking at doing is holding it on 9/11. And the timing of the event, we'll actually have a moment of silence at 8:59 a.m., which is the time that the cell tower fell. After the moment of silence, the beam will be removed, brought onto, we'll have a squad and a fire truck. They'll lay it on the fire truck, both police and fire honor guards, have a processional to transport it from its location, and police will be the first custodians of it. Again, have the honor guard receiving the beam down at the police department and have it put into its temporary or interim home at the police department. And all of that will happen on 9/11 this year.
Well, to me, it seems like a fitting thing to do. We have a monument up there that's in disrepair and is deteriorating every year. You know, is not honoring the occasion properly.
Correct.
And I think that's an appropriate plan. Now, would your staff do the work, or how do you have that done?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, we would have the ceremony to remove the beam on 9/11. That would be done. My staff would be working on some of the initial work, but the actual removal of the beam and transport would be police and fire honor guard taken care of. And then at some point after that, my staff will just go in. We'll try to take things down as gently as we can, but with the condition of the marble, I can't guarantee that we're going to be able to salvage that marble. And then we'll take the two towers down. And again, we're planning on doing some interim storage. We'll work with police and fire department to see if there are some plans to do something with either the marble or the steel that was used to create the replica towers, and decide on an ultimate disposition plan for those materials at a later time. But in the meantime, we will put them into storage.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions people have on it? No? Then I'll ask for a motion to approve the recommendation. Oh, is there someone here?
Did you want to speak, anyone want to speak for us? Okay.
Sandy, do you want to say something on it? I think it's in your district.
Right, I'd see the monument. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think there's a lot of public support to do something for this. I mean, Alder Weary has put it in communication quite a while back to look into it. And I see it not only as a memorial for 9/11, but the whole war on terror. So, you know, we have a lot of monuments for World War II and so on, and I think this is a monument that honors those, not only for that day, but the rest of the war on terror, and I think it's an appropriate thing to do. And we really need, and it's not just that it's deteriorating, but that beam really was never meant to be for outside use, and we really should, you know, protect that from the elements as well. So.
Okay, you have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Van Leest to approve. Do you have a question?
Yeah, well, I just have a comment. I appreciate all the work the committee did and the subcommittee. You know, we've been talking about this for years, so what was a source of pride slowly became kind of a source of embarrassment. And I think it's a wise decision to remove it and regroup and rebuild it. I think we'll do something much better. So thanks for all the work.
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Number 6 is consideration with possible action on accepting a $200,000 natural resource damage assessment grant to fund the construction of a canoe kayak launch on St. George Street. And again, in our packets, we've got a map, a sketch that shows where the location would be, as well as the trail and parking areas and so on. Done?
Okay. At the January 25th, 2017 Park Committee, you authorized staff to apply for $300,000 NRDA grant to fund the design and construction of the canoe kayak launch at St. George Street as part of the East River Trail Connection. The grant funding is part of the Fox River cleanup funds. The grant has been awarded. We were awarded $200,000, not $300,000, but we got $200,000 towards our project. The $200,000 would fund engineering, small parking lot, a boat ramp, a kayak launch area, a river overlook, and necessary walks for ADA accessibility. The grant will not fund, now because we're $100,000 short, the grant will not fund the open shelter, paving and seating of the kayak storage area originally showing on this graphic when we presented it to you. This is a 100% grant with no matching funds necessary. If the park committee accepts the grant, only the grant items would be installed at this time. The unfunded amenities we would build in addition when we can secure some funding for that project. It is not required that the city fund or install the unfunded grant amenities at this time in order to receive the grant.
Okay, are there any questions? Mr. Weir?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. When are we looking to start this?
I'm not sure, but it wouldn't be this year.
Yeah.
It would be into next year already.
It would be at least next year.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve this grant.
Second?
Motion to approve the receipt of the grant by Alderman Vanley, seconded by Alderman Weary. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is consideration with possible action on a property trade request with Donna and Donald Zunker, LLC, at Chapel Park. Tony?
Okay. The owners of parcel 6-98 and 6-981 at 1551 Dowson Street recently constructed a building addition to the Grand Care Nursing Home. The owner is now in the process of combining the parcels and revising the property lines. They have submitted a certified city map to the planning department for approval. These parcels are located directly west of Chapel Park. The owner has requested to clean up a few minor property lines issues as a part of the CSM process. When the surveyors completed that process, they noticed a small overlap of property along the eastern property line. If you refer to this map, you can see that. The owner would like to maintain a straight property line to that parcel. In order to accomplish this, they would like to deed over a small irregular piece of property which is about 0.32 feet wide times 82.02 feet long, which is approximately 13 square feet. In addition, the Parks Department owns a small triangle piece shot, you can see that as well on here, a piece of property between the adjacent owner's north property line and Dowsman Street right away. The small wedge of property consists of 127 square feet and is currently a grass area, and the adjacent owner maintains it. Staff would recommend that this small piece of property gets deeded to the adjacent owner at the same time. They have always maintained this piece of property and will continue to do so in the future. Since these trades are so small in acreage, staff would recommend that it's an even trade. There would be no money involved with this change, and we would approve it. We would like to straighten those lines out.
Okay, any questions or discussion on that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Vanley, second by Alderman Weary to approve the land swap as recommended. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that brings us to the director's report. Again, we received a written report. Johnny?
Okay, yep. The Fox River Trail replacement will begin August 21st. The shelter at Murphy has been repainted and the decorative trim will be installed soon. Park crews started the new installation of the new playground at Wilder Park. The first annual Glow Bike Ride will take place on August 26, 2017. The ride takes participants from Broken Spokes on the city deck down to Bay Beach Amusement Park. Participants will get a ride on the Zip and Pippin, get glow necklaces, and there's a lot of fun activities that are planned throughout the night. The 4th annual Lego event will take place this year again at Bay Beach Pavilion this Saturday. The contest will be held for different age groups based on an amusement park theme and an open category theme. This is really a cool event. It's well attended. We have people that come from all over to participate in this Lego tournament. They just love this event. The Kitty Carnival was held on August 1st, 2017. It was a really nice carnival. We had a very nice night, good attendance, and actually good-looking floats, and Alderman Weary helped work one for us. We're gonna put them to work next year too. So the kitty football leagues began on August 29th. Colburn and Joanne's Aquatic Center close on August 20th. Rush Aquatic Center will remain open for 4 more days, and that will close on the 24th. And you're wondering, why do we close them all at the same time? Well, we don't have enough lifeguards. So we have to, as we lose lifeguards as they go back to school, then we close those 2 pools first, and we leave Rush open.
Do you want to have a ceremony to close Colburn?
Yeah, we might have to.
Just kidding.
No, good idea.
The Preble Optimist sponsored free rides at the Zip and Pippin this past Tuesday. They give everybody who wanted to ride the coaster a free ride from 10 a.m. to noon. Well attended. Lots of kids showed up from all throughout the playgrounds and daycares and all that kind of stuff. PBS Antique Roadshow spent time filming at the Wildlife Sanctuary for a future show, as well as the Wisconsin Public TV program, Wisconsin Life. They did segments that will also be airing this fall. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Just a question, what are the new colors for park shelters that we use at Murphy Park?
I think it was gray and with a darker gray trim.
Okay.
I think it's kind of comparable to the new Astor shelter, if you've seen that one.
Quick question for Dawn. On that Whitney Park where they have a fire inside of the building there, somebody lit the part of the stall on fire. Is that all squared away already?
Yes, we had that taken care of within 3 days of the fire, so that people were back in and using that shelter.
How about that, we're talking about a proposed dog. How is that? Is that for next year's program?
Yes, that's for next year.
Okay.
We're still in the very planning stages of that right now.
And I've heard some comments about it, people are looking forward to it and things like that, for the dog. There's a lot of dogs in that particular area.
Yeah.
You bet, got to take care of the dogs. Well, thank you for the report. This is a very thorough report. Chris?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I didn't, there's an event that was last night. I'm too young to be in it. It was Geezer Pickleball, but I'm wondering if my fellow committee members were in Geezer Pickleball last night.
No, I was trying to get my wife to go. She likes pickleball, but she likes something else playing.
Thanks.
Okay.
Motion to receive and place file.
Yeah. Motion to receive.
No, wait, go ahead.
Do you have some information?
No.
Okay. We have a motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vandelis to receive the director's report. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. By Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vandelis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. We'll be convening